Hi class, here we are beginning our cell unit, and we're going to have you open your notebooks and start writing at the top of your notebook papers this first question, what are the two types of cells? There are two types that predominantly define the living organism that is represented with these two cells. They're either prokaryotic or eukaryotic cells. There's not an organism that would have both, so it's either one or the other. A little bit of Latin today, because a lot of the scientific terms, as we've discussed before, derive from Latin bases. So when we hear cyto, it basically is a Latin form of cell. Eu is true or good, so it's good. Eukaryote is, you see the karyo below as a nucleus of a cell, so it's a good nucleus of a cell. You'll see the difference in a diagram in a few minutes, what we mean about a good nucleus. Plasma or plasm is form. So when you see cytoplasm, you're seeing cell form. What is the fluid around that holds the forms in place? Pro or proto means first. So protokaryotes or prokaryotes are the first organisms. We would identify them as organisms that were around before the eukaryotes had developed. And then finally, gene or geno is the origin or birth. So, what parts of a cell do all cells have? The cell membrane is the outer covering of a cell. It controls what enters and what leaves a cell. It basically acts as a gatekeeper. Both prokaryotes and eukaryotes have a cell membrane. Secondly, the cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance that fills the inside of the cell. Both have a little bit different chemical compound of their cytoplasm, but essentially it is the same. Both have organelles that are structures inside the cell. Each of them have a specific job to do. And finally, DNA is the genetic material found inside both cells that carries the instructions for the organism. And here's what that looks like. So as you can see, on the left is a eukaryotic cell. It would be a very typical representation of an animal cell. And then on the right would be a prokaryotic cell, which would basically be a bacteria cell. As you can see, they look very different, but they have similar features. First of all is the DNA, or the genetic material. In the animal cell, it looks like a ball. It has its own nuclear envelope around it, whereas a prokaryotic cell just has a section that the DNA floats around in, but they both have DNA. Both have cell membranes. Both have cytoplasm. Like I said, it looks a little different, but it is functioning in the same manner. And each of them have organelles, and organelles help the organism cell function the way it's supposed to in that particular part of the body, or in a bacteria's case, it just helps it live. So, prokaryotic cells, they don't have a nucleus. They have just an area where the DNA floats around in their body. There's no membrane-bound organelles. The DNA is a long circular molecule. They have a cell wall, and examples of this would be prokaryotes, archaea, and bacteria. The organelles that you would see in this are called ribosomes, and So I've drawn a sketch here on this card and want to have you also sketch this into your notebooks. Conversely, eukaryotic cells have a nucleus which holds a DNA. They have membrane-bound organelles. They're much larger. They're 10 times larger than a bacteria cell. And some examples would be yeast, amoebas, animals, plants, humans, fungi, and protists. As you can see here, the DNA is bound in there, the cytoplasm, nucleus, those things we've discussed a little bit about already. The primary difference between a eukaryote and a prokaryote is that the prokaryotes do not have a nucleus, so the DNA floats around in the cytoplasm. And that's the end of our lesson today. See you tomorrow.